Hypnosis is what it is. We see things not as they are, but as we are. And when we see the world only through the five senses, because I'm Joe Bloggs and Ethel Smith, and we drop into body consciousness alone, then we drop into a box of limitation. And once we have stopped connecting with higher levels of our consciousness and observing the world from that point, we only have one place to go to get a fix on who we are and the nature of reality, and that's out there through the eyes and the ears. And who controls that? The mainstream media, the education system. Put them in the box, lock them in body consciousness, then program the computer to see the world the way that suits our agenda. Know thyself. How many people even think about that? Who am I? What am I doing here? What time's EastEnders on, Nunny? This is, I've done a lot of research on near-death experiences and what people have experienced in the near-death state. And I thought this one was brilliant. This is what one guy said he experienced. Everything from the beginning, my birth, my ancestors, my children, my wife, everything comes together simultaneously. I saw everything about me and about everyone who was around me. I saw everything they were thinking now, what they thought then, what was happening before, what was happening now. There was no time, there is no sequence of events, no such thing as limitation, of distance, of period, of time, of place. I could be anywhere I wanted to be simultaneously. How could he say that? Because he had withdrawn from the lens of the body computer that locks us into this tiny frequency range called visible light that we think is everything, when it is an infinitesimal fraction of what exists in the very space I'm standing in now. That's who we are, and look what we've allowed ourselves to become by being told what to believe and what to perceive. We live in the equivalent of a holographic internet, as I call it. The world seems so solid, but then they say it's made of atoms which have no solidity. How is that? Because it's an illusion. Solidity is decoded. We're decoding the equivalent of the wireless internet. Around me now, around all of us now, is this wireless internet. And we are decoding it into holographic reality that we call the world. That's what it is. We are receiver-transmitters of information. And if you can manipulate the computer, you can manipulate what it can perceive and what it can access. You know, one of those shaman people, the tabloid newspapers, he's a witch doctor, stupid, primitive. This is what one of them said. We are perceivers. We are awareness. We are not objects, we have no solidity, we are boundless. We, or rather our reason, forget this, and thus we entrap the totality of ourselves in a vicious circle from which we rarely emerge in our lifetime. We are awareness, that's what we are. And the idea of the manipulators is to limit that awareness as much as possible, so that we only see ourselves in limited apartness terms. We are living in a holographic world, a holographic universe, where that's a holographic print. It's basically a frequency field. And when you put a laser on it, bingo, it becomes a three-dimensional, apparently solid form. That's the world we live in. Again, holograms can look as solid as you and me. That's good, because we are holograms at the physical level. That's what we're decoding. That's what reality is. Reality is frequency fields which we decode into this so-called physical world. In the Matrix, he was seeing people like that, and then when he went through that transformation to another level of consciousness, he started seeing people like that on the right. Why? Because that's what we are at the physical level. And manipulating how we do it is the way this world is controlled. This is a wonderful book, I do recommend it, called The Holographic Universe. And there's a wonderful story in there which sums up what I'm saying here. The writer, Michael Talbot, talked about something he experienced when his father had a party and had a stage hypnotist along to do party tricks. What he did was make people eat a potato and think it was an apple. How does he do that? He implants the belief that the person's eating an apple, and we don't taste with the tongue. The tongue passes electrical signals to the brain which are decoded. And the implanted belief decodes the potato into the taste of an apple, and the person tastes the apple. And he got this one guy called Tom, and as he was about to bring him out from the trance state, whatever you want to call it, he said to him, when I bring you back to a waking state, Tom, you're not going to be able to see your daughter in the room. And so, before he did that, he led the daughter. Tom was sitting down, and he put the daughter right in front of Tom, so he's looking in his daughter's belly. He brings him out, apparently. Can you see your daughter in the room, Tom? Tom's looking around. No, she's not here. She's giggling, he can't hear her. The hypnotist went behind the daughter and put his hand in the small of her back and said, I'm holding something, Tom. What am I holding? He said, well, you're holding a watch. It was so obvious to him. The daughter's between him and the watch. He said, there's an inscription on the watch, Tom. What does it say? And he peered forward. He read the inscription. His daughter's here. Now, if I said that within mainstream versions of perception and reality and what this world is, people will say it's impossible. But it's not. The only place that room existed in a physical form, holographically, was in Tom's decoded reality. By putting the implanted belief that his daughter was not in the room into Tom's mind/brain, his brain ceased to decode that energy field of the daughter into holographic form. So everyone else in the room was there holographically to be seen as physical, but not his daughter, because he had not decoded her. It's exactly the same principle that in China they cannot access vast amounts of the internet because they are firewalled off. And that's what belief does. It firewalls off perception. And that's why we are bombarded with belief, belief, belief. Not least belief in division instead of unity. So we end up like this. We end up locked in bubbles of imprisoned perception instead of being the free, infinite, multidimensional beings that we really are. And by disturbing the computer, you can distort massively the computer's ability to decode and perceive in the way that it should do. Not least through fear, but the stuff that we're pouring into ourselves and our kids. What is the body? It is an electrical, chemical phenomenon at this level. And what are we doing? We're filling it or bombarding it with electrochemical influences which are distorting its balance and therefore distorting its efficiency to decode reality. Aspartame, this sweetener, it's a brain suppressant. They call an excitotoxin, among many other lethal things. Who brought it onto the market? Donald Rumsfeld, when he was head of Searle Pharmaceuticals, made a fortune by selling the rights out to Monsanto. Fluoride, another brain suppressant and excitotoxin to destabilize the efficiency of us.